Sangye chedan zoye chonan la chanjo hobo danye kepso danye juje gibe zonan ge jola benje sangye chubore jo jedan zoye chonan la chanjo bardo danye kepso che danye juje gibe zonan Jala penjire zangye tu bara jo sangye chedan zagye chonan janjo bardo danye gyabzo che dagye jenzo yebe sonan Jala penjire zangye tu bara sho Zai je Joje me to tamai rabai li ye de ai ge ai binde sang ye ji to me de ai Joy good namain dai shila jimbara shoye dama gujorat mendala gamne yandaya Oh yeah, okay. Is Mr. Hung here, the translator?
Good morning, Rinpoche la.
Hello. Hi, good morning, yes.
Sorry, I just come back la. I'm sorry.
No, yeah, I couldn't see your video, so
sorry,
yes.
I'm late.
Yeah. How are you doing?
I'm fine, Rinpoche la.
Okay, sure. Good. All right. Okay, so we will be starting a new chapter today. But before we do that, I will. So there's one page left from last week's class, and so I wanted to finish that off because that's actually quite. It's like the concluding sort of the page, so I want to finish that off. Yeah. So that's on page number 260. So this is basically okay. So we begin from the first paragraph. So Geshe Potawa, so he's a great Kadamba master. And then Geshe Tumba is so Geshe Tumba is the Drum Tumba. Drum Tumba's short name is we call him sometimes we call him Geshe Tumba, sometimes we call him Drum Tumba. So Drum Tumba is one of the two main disciples of two principal disciples of Adisha. So this is a question asked by Geshe Potawa to Master Drum Tumba. So he asked Potawa, what is the difference, or how do you differentiate Dharma and non-Dharma? What is Dharma and what is not Dharma? So how do you differentiate something Dharma and not Dharma? And that is the answer given by Geshe Tumdemba.
Yeah.
So a lot of people think when they say Geshe Tumba, they think that's a monk. And when they say a Drum Tumba, it's a lay person. Actually, they are both same person. Drum Tumba he never became a monk. But so Atisha has two main disciples, Drum Tumba, which is a lay person, and then Gambupa. Gambupa is a monk. And Geshe Potawa is a monk. And Geshe Potawa asked the question to Drum Tumba about what is the difference between Dharma and non-Dharma. So this is the answer, Geshe Drum Tumba answer. So if it counteracts negative emotion, it is Dharma. If it does not, it is non-Dharma. So very simple. If any practice, so-called practice, whether high practice or low practice, small practice, big practice, if it goes against our negative emotions, afflictive emotions, then this is Dharma. If it doesn't help to curb down your negative emotion, then it is not Dharma. To put it more simply, if it works against your negative karma, then it is your Dharma. If it does not counteract with your negative karma, then this is not your Dharma. So there is 84,000 types of or volumes of Dharma. So some are for you, some are not for you yet. So if it works against your negative emotion, if it works for your positive emotion, then it is Dharma. If it goes against, then it is just not your Dharma. If it does not fit with the worldly ways, it is Dharma. If it fits in the worldly ways, then it's not Dharma. So worldly ways is because that's basically what people think, reputation, like that. Okay, so what the world thinks when you do something according to what the world thinks, what the people's perception of you, then what you have to do is you have to do a lot of pretending. That is not Dharma, because Dharma is truthfulness. If So some people ask how much my practice is like pure or not pure. So the purity of your practice depend upon your truthfulness. If you are, when you are practicing, if you are putting on more pretenses, more pretentious actions or motivation, then it is not pure Dharma. The more truthful it is, the more pure it is. So basically, when you are trying to fit in with the world, you are trying to live for the reputation, the perception of the people around you. Then in order to do that, because you are not yet there, you have to put up with a lot of pretenses, and that is against Dharma. Yeah. So there's difference between pretentiousness and decency, right? We are all wearing clothes. That is not out of pretense. That is because of decency, right? And then when we talk to people, we talk calm, nicely, like that. That is not out of pretentiousness. It is out of decency. So decency and pretense is also different. So Dharma does not mean you have to you have to be indecent. Okay. Yeah. Now the third one is, if it fits with the scriptures and your instructions, it is Dharma. So instruction is a synonym. It's a different name, another name for Buddha's teaching, Buddha's own words. So scriptures is like all the scriptures in general, and the Buddha's own words, that were not the commentary to the Buddha's teaching, but Buddha's own words are also sometimes referred to as instructions. So because instruction or a manual is something to do with it has the exact description of how to handle certain things. So let's say the manual for this iPad tells you how to handle this iPad, right? Very in detail. So like that, Buddha's teaching are like that. So whatever teaching the Buddha gave, it actually gives a detailed instruction on how to whether it is to decrease your negative emotions, whether it is to increase your positive emotion, whether it's to have instill stability of the mind, whatever. It is in great detail. So Buddha's teachings are known as instruction. So basically, it's what he's saying is the teaching of the Buddha himself, and then his followers, the commentators, right, the great masters. So if it's against the scriptures and the instructions, then it is not Dharma. If it is with the text, then it is Dharma. Then if it leaves a positive imprint is like a positive effect, okay? Positive effect in your mind stream, in your consciousness. Positive imprint, that is Dharma. Negative imprint, that is not Dharma. So then once again, Master Chegompa, so he's a master from 12th century. So he summarizes, okay, so now we already summarized what is Dharma and what is non-Dharma. So now he summarizes what are the different levels of Dharma practitioner, who is the entry level, who is the middle level, medium level, and who is the advanced level of Dharma practitioner. So he said, to believe in the effects of actions is the right view for those with ordinary faculties. So for the entry-level practitioner, the most important thing is to have a strong belief in karma. Action means karma, right? Karma means action, action means karma. So that the meaning is that law of causality, karma. So the first thing important is to have a strong belief in karma. The medium level is on the medium level, one should be able to realize that the inner and outer phenomena as the union both of appearance and emptiness. So this is a little bit more difficult. So inner and outer thing means everything, basically. That is a different way of saying everything in the world. So everything in the world consists of things that are outside and things that are inside, right? Everything that we experience within us and everything that is outside of our experience. So everything basically is a union. So union of both appearance and emptiness. So what it means is, union here means whatever that we have been experiencing internally or externally is none other than the let's call it an emanation, or that itself is a projection of the um, the appearance and the appearance emptiness. So appearance and emptiness, I think we talked about it a little earlier before. So appearance is, maybe we can talk about it more afterwards too. So appearance is what we see, what we think, what we feel, and emptiness is the is a different way of referring to the reality. So what we are experiencing or what we are seeing and what is really out there, what is really there. So there is always a difference. There's always a difference. As long as we are in samsara, what we see and what is actually underlying, there is always a difference. So we don't really get the, to put it more simply, we don't really get the whole picture all the time. So what we see is not what we really get. So that is usually referred to as emptiness, because you're not getting what is actually there. So it's empty. So therefore emptiness. So appearance and emptiness is emptiness. Appearance means what you see, and appearance means what you are getting. So what you're not getting, what you are seeing, so therefore it's empty. Okay. I'm just making it very simple to understand. But so appearance and emptiness basically means the reality and the reality that you perceive. Seeing that the external world and the internal world are both part of the, not even part of, like, are both the union of appearance and emptiness. That is called the view. Okay, so the view. So someone who has that view is regarded as a practitioner, with a high level of practitioner, high level of practitioner. So if that is high level practitioner, so to have that view, and to see that view, the person who is having that view and the action of having that view. So this is the view that I have, right? That is the view, and I'm the person who is having that view, right? And my action of my engagement with that view, which is basically the process of having that view. Let's, for example, okay, let's put this in a more simple way of like drinking a cup of tea. So there's a cup of tea that you are drinking. There's an object, and the person who is drinking the cup of tea, and then the process of drinking the tea, right? The action, right? So there are three things: the object, the subject, and the action or the process. The three things, right? So these three things. So here we are using the metaphor for the view of understanding appearance and emptiness. So the idea of emptiness and the idea of appearance and emptiness, the person who has the idea, and the process of creating that idea, or the process of pondering over that idea, thinking over that idea. So these three things are to understand these three things. Okay, even though we identified them as three different things, how to think of all of them as one. So that is the highest level of practitioners. The view, the viewer, and the act of viewing. Three things, to see them as one. So, okay. So these three things. to see these three things as one. That is the highest level of practitioner. So I mean, intellectually I can explain this, but to actually have that view, that understanding naturally, that is something we have to practice, and then we can actually get it right. So okay, so how to understand that intellectually? It's quite simple. So the act, the action, and the actor, the three things, right? So they are all one in the sense that normally we identify them as three different things because of their characteristics. But in real, without one, the other cannot exist. So without the view, there will not be the viewer. Without the viewer, there won't be the action of viewing, right? So the person who drinks the cup of tea, and the act of drinking, the process of drinking tea, are all part of one big phenomena. So without one, the other one cease to exist. And a lot of times in our world, in the world, we tend to forget that, or we tend to not to see that, and that's why we tend to create a lot of factions and a lot of factions and a lot of problems arises. If you know the person who is disturbing you, the person who is annoying you, the person who is annoying you is annoying you because you are the person who is there to be annoyed in the first place. And then the person to be annoyed, okay, the person to be disturbed, which is you, and the disturber, and the act of disturbing are all one part of the one big process. So without one, the other one ceases to exist. So if you tend to, okay, so you cannot change the person who is disturbing you. But if you cease to become the person to be disturbed, then you will no longer be disturbed. So
Yeah.
seeing these three things as one big one whole entity, not as three different entities, but one single entity, that will help a great deal, not only in the spiritual realm, but also in the our everyday mundane things as well. Now, I will not go into more detail because Chegumba says a lot. There's more. And then there's, okay, now go to the next paragraph and the next page, which is 261. So this is a summarization by Longchen Ramjamba. So Longchen said that knowledge is as infinite as those stars in the sky. So infinite, innumerable. The things that you can study, things that you can learn, it's innumerable, right? Different types of different study field, different religion. Even within one religion, there are different tradition. Within one tradition, there are different customs. So it can just go on and on and on and on. There is no end to all the subjects that one could study and practice. So it is better to grasp straight away their very essence, the unchanging fortress of the Dharmakaya. So you see, basically saying, if you keep on searching for more and more, the search is, the pursuit is never ending. So therefore, to find some things and when you find the one that is helpful for you, the helpful means to decrease your negative karma and increase your positive positive mindset. Afflictive emotions decrease and positive emotions increase. If you see that, then practice that right away. And moreover, try to get straight into the very essence of any teaching that you are practicing or studying. So what is the very essence of all the practices? The essence of all the practices is to reach Dharmakaya. So Dharmakaya is the unclothed reality. So the reality that is not covered by anything. So that is the ultimate truth. So whatever is getting you closer to that, so that is something you should practice and engage, study, practice, and engage right away. Oh yeah. So now we come an end to this particular chapter, the chapter on arousing bodhicitta. And now next we will go to the next chapter, so chapter 3 in this part, which is meditating and reciting on the teacher as Vajrasattva to cleanse all obscuration. So purification, yeah. Okay, so one big portion is done. So the activating bodhicitta for the sake of all sentient beings. That part is okay. So that part we covered now. So now the next is to purification. So for this, let me go through the very first lines. So there's one line by Peju Rinpoche. So I will just read this first. Beyond being defiled by the two obscurations, you purport to still be purifying them. Having certainly reached the sublime path's very end, you profess still to be learning. Beyond the extreme of samsara and nirvana, you manifest still in samsara. Peerless teacher, at your feet I bow. So the true obscuration is the obscuration for what we usually call the obscuration for knowledge, and the obscuration of a negative emotion, the two obscurations. Also, obscure means to cover, to block the view. So this is obscure. My hand is obscuring the view, right? So what is it obscuring? What is it covering? What is it trying to hide or cover? Is the ultimate reality, or the ultimate goal of Buddhahood. Okay. So normally we talk about the two obscurations and the two accumulation. Accumulation we talked last week. Accumulation of wisdom and accumulation of merit, right? And then there's the two accumulations, and then there is the two obscurations. They're not exactly related to each other per se, but somewhat related. Okay, so normally we to make things simple to understand and simple for our mind to stick, we usually say, what is Buddhahood? Or Buddhahood is to get rid of the two obscurations and to attain the two accumulations. That's to make it simple to understand. We just used to say that two accumulations in, two obscurations out, like that. So basically, two obscurations. When you go beyond two obscurations, that is when you reach Buddhahood. So the first line is basically saying is a praise to his teacher, Pedro Rinpoche's teacher. He was saying, so it's a way of praising by highlighting his humility, okay, humbleness. So even though you have reached beyond the two obscuration, meaning even though you have already become a Buddha, but you still portray the art of, you are still portraying the act of, the drama of purifying them. You have already purified them, but you are putting on the act of purifying them for our benefit, because we don't know how to purify them. So you are just telling us how to purify them. So it seems like you are purifying your negativity, but I know for sure that you have no negativities. You're already a Buddha. That's the first line. Oh yeah, that's the first line. So there's most of the Tibetan the stanzas, the prayers or the praises run in like 4 lines. Okay. So actually this comes from India. So one set of 4 line is called a shloka. So usually the poems are written in shlokas. Each shloka has 4 lines. So this shloka is a Sanskrit word meaning 4 lines. So this shloka is paying homage to his teacher by highlighting his humility. Okay, so I will go with the second line. Yeah. Having certainly reached the sublime path's very end, you prefer still to be learning. So even though because you are now a Buddha, because you are already a Buddha, there's nothing for you to learn, but you profess, you put on the act of learning for our benefit, the second line. Then the third line is, beyond the extremes of samsara and nirvana, okay, you manifest still in samsara. So to the peerless teacher, I bow at your feet. Okay, so that's the last line. So the third line says, you have already crossed over that 2 extremities of nirvana and samsara. So samsara, we know it's an extreme, it's a bad thing. So what is bad about nirvana, right? So this is, we talked about this earlier also. So there are 2 types of nirvana. especially in the Mahayana Buddhism, we talk about these two nirvanas a lot. But there is something called inferior nirvana and superior nirvana. So when you become an arhat, you actually acquire or attain nirvana. So that nirvana is referred to in the Mahayana Sutras as inferior nirvana. And then when you become a fully enlightened Buddha, then you also attain another nirvana. That nirvana is known as the supreme nirvana, superior nirvana, or unparalleled nirvana. No equal, no equals, no comparison. Yeah. So this nirvana is not a later one, not the supreme nirvana. This nirvana, samsara and nirvana here in this line, that nirvana is the inferior nirvana, the nirvana of arahathood. Yeah. So why is that an extreme? We talked about this before. I will just explain a little bit. Samsara, the flow of samsara, we all know. The flow of nirvana is inferior nirvana or nirvana. Basically, nirvana means peace. And when you say peace, for a lot of people, peace is such an achievement. But then there's a word, we say peace out in English, right? So when you like totally peace out, that is also there is also a problem with that. When you totally peace out, you're not engaging in any activity. So it's a form of intoxication. It's a form of intoxication. So usually we call that the height of nirvana. Like when you take some of the certain substances, when you smoke or when you eat, when you take certain substances that can actually get you high, that it can actually get intoxicated. We can also get intoxicated through meditation, and that is a meditative intoxication. And you don't want to stay in that intoxicated state forever. So these are the two extremes. Anyway, so you have already gone beyond the extremities of nirvana and samsara, but you still manifest within samsara for our benefit. So that is the humility of our teachers, his teacher, our teacher, as well as the kindness of the teacher, because he's already crossed over, but then he came back to lead us, take us back. Yeah. So now he says, listen to this chapter with the same attitude as before. So this is a different chapter, but the attitude must be same. The attitude is to benefit all sentient beings. Yeah. And now the name of the actual, the title is How Obscurations Can Be Purified Through Confession. So obscuration is a term that you will find more and more in the Mahayana teachings. And in our ordinary everyday talk, we say negative karma, positive karma, negative emotions, afflictive emotions, like that. So when it comes to more the deeper into the Mahayana teachings, we find the term obscurations more. So instead of calling it negative emotion, we call it obscuration. So because it obscures the ultimate truth, or it obscures the ultimate nature, which is the Buddha nature within us. So therefore, it's called obscuration. It covers, like that. So the main obstacles that prevent all the extraordinary experiences and realizations of the profound path from arising are negative actions, negative karma, okay, obscurations and habitual tendencies. So we call all of them obscurations as a whole, but then when individually we identify them into three categories: negative actions, obscurations, and habitual tendencies. Okay, so negative actions are the easiest one to eliminate. Then are the obscurations, and then are the habitual tendencies. Okay, like that. So negative action, negative karma, right? Negative karma, obscuration, and habitual tendencies. The three things. I'll give an example. Suppose you have you're riding a boat in the sea, and then there is I don't know, some storm, whatever, and then there's a hole in your boat, and then water comes into your boat, right? Water seeps into your boat. So the water coming into your boat, and your boat now filling with water. So the water coming into your bowl, that is the negative karma. Sorry, your boat. So first thing you will do is, of course, to take out all the you have to take out the water that is filling the boat, and at the same time you will also, or same time or after that, the most important thing is to block the hole, right? And then after blocking the hole and after the taking all the water from the boat, you will not remain there. You will move to another place because this is not a very safe place. It's very stormy, and the waves are very powerful, right? So like that, taking out the water from the boat, that is like getting rid of the negative karma. Then putting a hole, blocking that hole, that is like taking care of the obscuration, and then moving from that place to another place, that is like getting rid of the negative habitual tendencies. Oh. Okay. So here it says that if you want to see something, if you want an image, if you want an image to be reflected on the mirror has to be clear, has to be clean. If the mirror has a lot of smudges and stain and dirt on that, the picture will not be clear. So similarly, if your Buddha nature, which is within you, which is right within you, has to come out, has to appear, has to shine through, then it has to be eliminated from the obscurations, eliminated from the dirt or stain of obscuration that is covering it, that is blocking its shine, that is blocking its powerful rays to shine through. Yeah. So therefore, so this is a metaphor for purifying or cleansing. Cleansing is the more proper word, I guess. Cleansing of the negative, the obscurations within us. Yeah. So it says. So we on page number 264, the first paragraph. So it's important to eliminate our obscurations so that all the realizations can appear like a reflection in the mirror of the ground for all. So ground of all is just it's a synonym. It's a reference to basically the central mind. So let's say we have different sets of mindset, right? But everything is still sort of made aware, made of the central mind. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So the conqueror means the Buddha. The Buddha taught countless methods of purification or cleansing the obscurations. But the best of them all is meditation and recitation related to the teacher as Vajrasattva. Okay, meditating your teacher as the Vajrasattva, and then reciting the mantra of Vajrasattva. So there is no one harmful act or negative action that cannot be purified through confession, as the great teachers of ancient times affirm. So this is not one teacher. It's not referring to one particular teacher, but it's just a wise saying. There is nothing good about negative karma. There's nothing good about negative karma, except the fact that it can be purified through confession. All the negative actions, whether it's external breaches of the pratimoksha vow, the monastic vow, as well as the 5 precepts, that is the pratimoksha vow, 5 precepts for the lay people, and then the monastic vow for the monks. Yeah, that is the pratimoksha. Then the inner transgressions of the bodhicitta training or the bodhicitta vows, or the secret violations of the tantric samayas or the tantric vows. So any violations that you have committed, any violations that you have committed against the pratimoksha vow, the bodhicitta vow, or the tantric vows, there is not even one, however serious it may be, that cannot be purified or cleansed through compassion, through the practice of compassion. Yeah. So then there was a story of who did this and did negative things and then become enlightened, so on and so forth. So to summarize, there is a line by Nagarjuna. There's 4 lines. So it says, someone who has acted carelessly, but later become careful and attentive. So careful and attentive is a reference for confession, okay? Repentance and confession. So someone who has acted carelessly, without thinking, without awareness, but later become attentive and repent on their negative actions and confess. It as beautiful as the bright moon emerging from the clouds. So the cloud is the negative karma, and the bright moon is when you purify the negative karma. So the example, the examples of Nanda, Angulimala, Darshaka, and Shankara were given. So these were all uh, famous or infamous people during the Buddha's time who did very bad things and later, through repentance, became enlightened, became arhats. So, however, the purification process of Vajrasattva purification can take place only if you have if you commit to sincere confession. Okay, and sincere confession, a correct form of confession, can take place only with the support of so-called the four powers of antidote. Okay, we will talk about this later. The four powers of antidotes, if you apply, unless you apply that, then the confession will not work. And if it does not, confession does not work, then the purification of Vajrasattva does not work as well. So the purification process will also not work, never work, if your eyes and mouth are otherwise occupied. So this means if your mind is if you're reciting confession, like, okay, I will never do this, I regret this and this, but if your mind thinks, okay, if I get a chance, I will still do it. Basically, if your mind and your action are totally different in two different places, it will not work. Okay. So when you make the confession in the ritual, within the ritual, you have to say, I confess, I admit, like that. So when you say, I admit to my negative this and this, and I confess for the negativity and will not do this and this. So when you say, I admit and I confess, if your mind is busy with other thoughts, then it will not work. And also, if you think like this, I will confess now because I'm not sure about the future. Because even if I do something negative, I can still come back and do the confession. If you have that kind of thought and do the confession will not work. It will automatically reject. Okay, like that. So, so to summarize, Milarepa, Jesu Milarepa says, you may doubt that something simple is confession, right? Very simple. Just confess, and purify your negativity. How is that possible? You may doubt that confession can really purify the negativities. But if your thoughts have become positive, then you are already purified. So it's absolutely fundamental that any confession should include as antidotes the four powers. So without the four powers, the confession is a very simple, it's a mere confession. So when we talk about confession can purify negativity, we are talking about confession with the four powers. Okay, so we will conclude here for today, and then maybe some Q&As.
Mr. Chang said that maybe because of the concluding part of the previous chapter was too complicated, too difficult to understand, so that people are not being able to make the question for the new chapter. But there's one question, Rinpoche.
Yes,
the question
please.
is how to purify the habitual tendency. How to purify, how to recognize the habitual tendency. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
So okay. Normally, in the text, so the habitual tendencies, we call them the minute, or sorry, the micro dirt, the micro stains. Okay, so the karma, obscuration, and habitual tendency 3, right? So karma is the most obvious. So let's say on the mirror, okay, your clothes is a good example. So on your clothes, you spill with some oil or something, let's say tomato sauce, tomato ketchup. So there is a lot of stain there. It's very easy to see. That thing you can try to wash, and it's very easy to see. right? It's easy to see, and then it's also easier to remove if it's the dirt is big. Then something small, something from oil, grease, and it's more difficult to take care of. And then it's also more difficult to see also. Yeah. And then the very small dirt, like if you wear a cloth for a long time, then a certain form of pattern will come into that cloth that you are wearing. So some sort of a pattern will come into that cloth. We can call it like fading of the color, whatever you may call it, right? So that is not that obvious, but also very difficult to get rid of. Okay, so a stain, in order to get rid of in order to identify, not just get rid of, in order to identify the habitual tendencies, in order to get rid of the habitual tendencies, which is like the micro stain, you first have to get rid of the bigger stains. So when you like take out the bigger stains, then the micro stain are the ones that is underlying within. Okay. So usually we talk about the habitual tendency, like the examples. Okay. So just forget the clothing example. Okay. Just forget that for now. I will give you another analogy. Okay. You can translate that one. So that the thing is, usually we talk about a cup filled with onion or garlic. So when you fill the cup with onion and garlic, so there is some content there, something there, and the smell of the garlic is very much strong there as well. So in order to get rid of that smell, you throw the garlic out, right? When you throw the garlic out, the garlic is no more there, but the smell still remains, right? To remove the smell is much more difficult than to remove the garlic. Garlic is easy to remove. Just throw it like this, the garlic will go. But the smell, it will take a long time. Even if you wash it a couple of times, the strong scent of garlic will still be there. So that strong scent of garlic is the habitual tendency. So it will remain there for a longer time. It's more difficult to get rid of. And it's kind of harder to identify, in the sense that even though it's disturbing you, the smell is disturbing you, very strong, but it's like more difficult to identify in the sense that to get hold of it and throw it out. The garlic itself, you can just pick it up and throw it out. The smell, you cannot pick it up and throw it out like that. So yeah. So the simple answer to your question, how to identify the habitual tendency, is very difficult, almost impossible, unless you actually get rid of the negative karma and the obscurations first. Unless you get rid of the garlic first, it's impossible to identify and get rid of the smell. Yeah. First, you have to get rid of the garlic, and then you have to look for other methods to get rid of the smell as well. Yeah. I think if you put in effort to bring awareness to everything you do, every action you take, every speech that you make, and every thoughts that you ponder, that you contemplate, that things. So basically, if you bring awareness to your everyday action and your livelihood itself, then you will slowly, even though not identify like this, but slowly kind of a vague image of what your, not clear image, but a vague, unclear image of what your habitual tendency will start to rise if you observe and bring awareness. Because so habitual tendency, as the name says, is something that you have been habituated into. So you have been doing that for all the time, and you think there's nothing wrong with doing that. But actually, a lot of the negative thing that comes in your life is because of that thing. But because you have been doing that from the beginning, very long time, so you don't feel like this is a negative thing. So these are so if you bring observation and awareness into your action, thought, and speech, then you will slowly start to have a vague image of what your habitual tendencies are. Okay. So I think there's one question: how to ask how to effectively perform a confession ceremony. Okay. So it's actually part of like next week's class. But anyway, to give a simple preview is that you have to apply the 4 powers. Okay, the 4 powers, we sometimes call it the 4 counteracting powers or antidote power. Okay, so that is the power of support, the power of repentance or regret, uh, the power of resolution, and the power of action. Okay, like that. So the first one is the power of support. That means uh, you need someone who is not in the same situation as yourself to take you out from that situation. If you are drowning, another person who is also drowning cannot help you. If you are blind, 2 blind men cannot drive each other. A blind man, if you want to go somewhere, has to be driven by someone who can see, right? So the person who is, you are seeking support from has to be uh, so you are seeking support from a person who has already elevated himself from the state, from the same kind of situation that you are in. So he's already gone beyond that. So the power of support that usually the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas we confess to. So second is repentance or regret. Whatever bad thing you have done. Let's say lying. Okay, lying is the example. So if you lie to someone, you need to feel bad about that lying part. If you don't feel bad about lying to someone, then there is no confession. Second is regret. Yeah, if you lie, you cannot make excuse like, oh, if I didn't lie that time, I will be like out of job, right? So that's why I lied that time. So it's okay to lie. You cannot make excuse like that. Lie is lie. You have to regret for that. Mm.
Yeah.
No matter how
That,
or what situation, you have to regret. So bad action is bad action, even if you do it with a good intention. Bad action with good intention is still a bad action. But Mm. So you have to regret. Then the third one is resolution. So now you resolve to do not to do it again, because this is something bad. You see the bad thing, so you're not gonna lie anymore. You're not gonna cheat anymore. You have to make the resolution. Is the fourth one is action. So you must refrain from lying or cheating. Not cheating is not an action; is an inaction, right? So you have to engage in the action of telling the truth. So Okay, so the first thing is to have a support like a Buddha. Second is to regret for cheating. The third is to resolve not to cheat. And the fourth is to tell the truth, which is the opposite of cheating or lying. So that applies with killing, that applies with stealing, that applies with all the other negativities. Yeah, so I have a direct message here. It says, when we use the 4 powers of antidotes, to confess, what's the right way to confess objectlessly? So we talked about this last week about objectification. So objectification here means to see or to view something as to be existing inherently, outwardly, truthfully existing outwardly. And we talk about the confession without object, all these things, the mixima, right? Um, So yeah, it's the same with the confession. I will maybe explain more next week, but in general, to view, because the object that you are confessing to, the support, the Buddha, Shakti, Buddha, and all that, and the person who is confessing yourself, and the act of confessing, all of that, even though at one level there is negative deed, there's positive deed, and you regret all these things. There is all this chaotic world is there. But then ultimately, none of this exists inherently. And all of this is you cannot. It's merely imputed, as we would say in according to the Madhyamika point of view. It is not something that is inherently there. Okay, so all of this chaos, positive, negative, good, bad, all these things is all part of all um, mm, um, are all empty of having a ultimate reality. So by thinking that, you can have the objection or the object-less confession without object. Okay, so there's next question is a little bit complicated or long, but I'll just summarize it, okay? So basically the thing is that so the person is really interested to listen to Dharma talk. And when they listen to Dharma talk, they really get fed up or with the people's actions of people around them. And then they just want to listen to the Dharma alone and not to engage with anyone else. So that's the dilemma that the person is facing. Okay. So what to do in that situation? That's the question. So basically, just come back to the basic. Why are you doing Dharma practice? Are you doing Dharma practice just to escape something? That is, many people do that. Actually, you're not the only one. Okay, a lot of people do Dharma practice, engage in Dharma practice, especially meditation, the so-called mindfulness meditation, which is very popular. People do that in order to get some peace of mind, not for any. There is no sublime motive there. Okay, so if you want to achieve, if you want to become if you tend to believe yourself as a sincere Dharma practitioner, then that should not be your motive. But if you just want to live a very good life, like this worldly life, and there are people who do meditation in order to kill people, like a lot of, what they call that, sharpshooters, like snipers, they do meditation because meditation gives them calmness. So they do meditation so they can kill more people with more precise accuracy, there is that, you do meditation in order to cheat more people because you get calmness, you get clarity when you do meditation. So there are different types of people for doing meditation. So one cannot say, okay, you cannot do that. You cannot do meditation before killing people, Anyway, the point is, if you believe yourself, if you think you are attracted to Dharma, okay, not just for that peace of mind, okay? We talked about that peace out thing already. So not just for the peace thing, but for you're really into Dharma. You really want to realize your pure Buddha nature. You wanted to achieve enlightenment, Buddhahood. Then you should think more on the compassion side, the bodhicitta side. Everything that we are doing, everything, all the good things and bad things, everything that we are enjoying is due to it's due to the fact that it's because of other sentient beings. If you are all by yourself, then you will become totally, you will be, what do you call that thing? If you're all by yourself, there will be loneliness, and then you will die out of loneliness. The food that you eat, the clothes that you wear, everything comes from other people. So yes, it is true that because of your current situation, you may be facing some difficulties, disturbing from people around you, so on and so forth. That actually makes you want to give up on people, but that should not be. Basically, come back to compassion. Think about compassion, loving kindness. Why Buddha Shakyamuni come to teach? Why all the Buddhas are showing compassion like that? When Buddha got enlightened, he could just go to he could just stay in the stay in the mountain, on the forest, don't engage in with the people. Why he come back? Yeah, think like that. So if the surrounding, if the environment that you're living in is too hot to handle, if it's too difficult, too chaotic, then maybe you can disengage or shift somewhere temporarily. But at the end of the day, ultimately, you have to remember that the people who are unkind people are the ones who needs kindness the most. Okay. So I think there's couple more questions, but I think conclude here for the time constraint. Okay. So most of the questions are actually related to confession, the process of confession, which I'm going to cover next week anyway. So yeah. Now dedication, please. Kewa di nyurdo da lama sangye chokyo chowa chikya malu kegi sala ge bara sho chanjo semjo rembo je ma ye pa nama kegyo keba nyamba me bara ya kone kondo be bara sho mi No, deme nyimbo, deme benga yin naman do yu kun la chang chu. Lop san chu ye jam zu chu gun do den ge zho jen dam bo se wa de.
Được phú bẩm phẩm tính kiên cường trì giữ pháp chân thực, Ngài tinh thông toàn bộ kinh và mật, dùng thánh tâm để truyền bá đại dương pháp tạng khắp muôn phương. Nguyện cầu Ngài trường thọ để dẫn dắt chúng sinh. Nguyện
Thank you.
nguyện đem
And we
công
can
đức này hướng về khắp cả đệ tử và chúng sinh, giai cộng thành Phật đạo. Nam mô Di Đà Phật. Thank you, Rinpoche.
thank you. Yeah, dedication and wisdom is
Yeah, already Rinpoche. Yeah, already
Yeah.
Rinpoche.
Thank you Rinpoche.
Thank you,
Rinpoche.
Thank you.
Cảm ơn đạo hữu Hưng.
Cảm ơn Rinpoche. Have a good day, Rinpoche.
Thank you everyone.
Thank you,
Thank you so much.
Chila.
Have a
Cảm
good
ơn em
weekend.
Hưng
Bye
nhá.
bye.
Xin cảm ơn